Hey everyone, my name's Doug. Former co-op mode resident, but currently back in Corpo world because I found myself missing the ball of life. But I am hoping to make a return to making games before long. Around the turn of 2022, I released my first commercial game, Feral Flowers. If you've met me, you'll almost certainly know about this, and if you haven't, you maybe saw it in the newsletter. Anyway, this is a lightning talk, so let's jump right into it. Like, come on, of course I was going to lead with this. I'm not sure at what point in the running order this video is, but if it's anything but first, someone has to have already mentioned it. Anyway, wherever possible, it's best not to give yourself deadlines, but of course it isn't always like this in real life. Don't be optimistic about time. Double your estimates, and when the miraculous happens and you beat those estimates, then you can be optimistic. Godot is the engine I use. All my games are 2D. Your games might need to be 3D. You probably shouldn't use it for 3D games just yet. Now, I will go just a little bit further into this. Godot 4 is about to come out, which addresses a lot of the long-standing issues with this wonderful hunk of C++. And of course I'm biased, but I do think that now is a great time to invest in it. And if you use it, your games will be free of engine royalties. But if we're being real, most resources still don't match the quality of Unity's. This is another classic one, but nonetheless something I unfortunately needed to be shown rather than told. Regardless of whether you're new to game development, properly evaluate your new tools rather than rushing into making a full game with them. This is especially important with, say, your engine. There are always undocumented gotchas, and you won't know how to optimize properly if you don't have a good feel for the architecture first. Starting with a really tiny project, of the same genre as the game you want to make, ideally, that you can see through to completion, as if you were going to publish it, is a really good idea. Feral Flowers was a self-publish, but despite that, I've had a few conversations with these guys. Firstly, even if daddy owns a yacht and you can finance the project yourself, publishers know people, and Kickstarters generally don't give you that kind of exposure. Generally. So yeah, even if you're doing this on the side of a full-time job like I was, find a publisher well in advance of your release date, because they really need time to get stuff ready. On the subject of publishers, who can usually offer a hand with this, porting is not as simple as it may seem at first, especially when engines seem to just let you pick a platform and export. In fact, porting was such a huge pain in my ass that I'm going to stretch it out for 2 more points.
Number 15, Burger King foot lettuce.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. Despite it running on the same computer you're developing your game with, getting your game playing nicely with Steam can be difficult, though admittedly this was the easiest port of the bunch. Depending on your engine, there's a fair chance that you'll still have to piss around with Valve's APIs to get things working properly, and then there's the huge amount of graphics and copy wrangling you have to do for your store page. Getting Feral Flowers sold on the Nintendo eShop was complicated. I'm legally obliged not to say much more than this. Generally speaking though, you'll need a fair bit of both time and money to do this, or a ton of time and some money. Feral Flowers took 2.5 months of work to get ported to the Switch, and what I can say is that most of that time was waiting for other people. I even had to get age ratings, look at this shit. Small streamers might not be able to catapult your game to stardom, but I'll be damned if watching them play your game isn't insanely gratifying. If you've not met Ash yet, go talk to him. He's built a tool that pings you when somebody's playing your game, and I know Dev in the chat is a meme at this point, but streamers are lying if they say they don't like it too. Usual caveats apply, you know, be cool, don't be smug like I am.
Someone remind me to ban Snoop Douglas after this, by the way.
Man, there is nothing worse than falling in love with a bad idea. If you're anywhere near as sentimental as I am, you'll know exactly what I mean. I came up with some of the games I want to make when I was like 10, when I was not a visionary game designer, so yeah. If you've ever heard the term kill your darlings, this is what I'm talking about. Getting rid of ideas you're really attached to, but that don't benefit the overall game. Lots of people will give you this advice, and I generally agree with it, but I don't think it's quite that simple. Sure, be prepared to reduce your scope, be prepared to admit there are entire games you shouldn't make, but sometimes, taking the time to add some artistic flourish is a really great thing. So many games now have fucking zero personality because they're churned out through a scrum-board meat grinder which chops off all the weird human bits. So, for sure, learn to know when to let a bad idea go, but don't let that notion stop you from being a real artist. Anyway, enough of that, let's get to my final point. Co-op mode has 8 desks available. Lovely, gorgeous, good-looking desks for low prices, and I hear the mere act of sitting at one makes you 12% more sexually attractive. I can't remember how much they cost, so ask Vicky or Ben probably.